Tell us about a time when you knew you were present to God and the result of that. Just some moment in time. And you can go back. It doesn't matter. Just some time that. So, and the reason we want to do this, I'll tell you why. Usually we don't do this with counsel, but we have an agenda. It's to call into mind what it was like when you were present. And that's what we're falling back into hourly. It happens to me, Jim. I don't know if that's how you experience it, but literally, I know if I'm falling into that posture or not, because I know what that is. I'm not just breathing. Like, to breathe 3 times is the point of this. Oh, I did the breath and it was long and it was longer going out. And I did it 3 times and I asked myself the questions. No, that's, did you meet God just now?
That's right. It's the intention.
Yeah. So tell us about a time when you met God.
Well, I mean, I've had several moments where I've felt God's presence, a lot of them in nature. And they've come unexpectedly, but it's because I think if I look back on it, it's been because I have been present. My mind is not going in several directions. I'm just sort of present and taking in everything that's around me. And then God's presence appears, or at least becomes more vivid to me. But recently, I've been doing this journey of being called to spiritual direction, and I've been seeing some men for spiritual direction. And I've walked a journey with a few of these guys for over a year, in some cases, probably 3 or 4 years. And I've seen a transition taking place. And of course, in spiritual direction, there's a lot of presence. There's a lot of just sitting and listening and being present to the moment. And to see a man come to a point in his journey where I've seen where he started, and he's told his story over and over and over again. And then to see that transformation over time, and that just happened recently in 2 different cases, was like, it was like really, I saw God's presence in that person, in his journey, in everything. I felt God in myself in that moment. And I was thankful and I was grateful for the fact that I, had that moment of just that oneness with everything and with the man that I've been walking this journey with and within myself, that God was in everything. So yeah, I'm very blessed and beginning to come into more consciousness of why I felt like God called me to, go towards spiritual direction. So yeah.
Oh. It's been very difficult for me to get into deep meditation, even though I like it and I want to grow into it more. But lately, for the last year, something that I heard Jim Heaney say at the beginning has really been surfacing. I'm also a member of AA, so resentment is huge for me, even though it was something that I denied I possessed, or I had such a strong ability to possess resentments. And lately I've been discovering some very strong ones through different works and obviously experiences, divorce, now cancer. And, that gives me the opportunity to question if that is why when I get into a deep meditation or contemplative sit, It scares the shit out of me to be in the presence of God. Because it does. I get to a point where I feel so connected to him that it scares me. And I don't like that, you know? I don't like that feeling. I want to be there without any fear. So I know today for sure that I've got these things that I've got to overcome, heal, forgive myself, and ask for forgiveness in order to stop that block. Thank you.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you about an experience I had actually on my MROP. And I'll get to the end of it. Well, when I get to the end of it, it's kind of unusual. Anyway, you know, when you go out the day you're in the wilderness. Okay. And I walked up, or it was a ghost ranch. Richard actually gave me MROP in 1997. I walked all the way up, high as I can go. And during the course of the day, I was meditating at the time. And during the course of the day, I went into a meditation. And I must have been meditating for a couple of hours, actually. And I started meditating, and I eventually leaned forward like this. And I was like, I wasn't sleeping. I was almost like in twilight, you might say. All of a sudden, I see the clouds in the sky, even though I'm down here. I see the clouds in the sky, and there's an opening, right? And there's all these ladders, and there's all these people climbing up those ladders, and there's people on top helping them up, right? So I'm looking up, and I'm trying to look up, you know, but I'm down, okay? And I'm trying to look up into the hole and see what's going on up there. And all right, so I said, okay. So I got up. Now, by the way, my eyes are closed all the time. And I got up and I looked up in the sky. That same hole was right above me through the clouds. And I went, it actually spooked me. I went, well, what spooked me was I'm going, nah, that can't be good. What would you want to talk to me for? You know, and it was like a voice in my head going, this is the way. Let's put it this way. I've never actually told that to anyone until today. Because it was like, it took me about 6 months to believe it was God talking to me. Because I just didn't believe it. It was, I was cold. I must have been sleeping or something. It was like, you know, I was trying to convince myself that's not what actually happened. But it is what actually happened. It's amazing what we do when we truly do become. And when we talk about the vibrant and alive, it is too good to be true until we experience it and realize it's not only true, it's always.
You know, Jim, I was thinking while we were all sharing our experiences that the common denominator was our openness in that particular moment. I use the word surrender. It's followed me since I was a young man. When I wanted to be present to God, I knew I had to surrender. And if I was going to surrender, you know, Teo, your comment earlier, I knew what that meant. I had to let go of things that prevent that. And I didn't word it quite so eloquently and succinctly and practically like you in your book. I laugh all the time. I'm like, my God, he just nailed it. You know, releasing my fears, my resentments, a lot of the surrendering my own sinfulness, the things that that I often put between me and that presence, letting go of them. And when we do that, as testament to everyone's stories here, we find God right there in that moment. And I want to just reaffirm to all of us that we're not chasing after something. We're actually putting ourselves into a posture of something that already is. And we just fall into it, is the language I would use, Jim. Spiritual language is always a challenge because we're talking about an ineffable quality, but it is common to all of us. And to try to get the language right is sometimes difficult, but like Jim's talking about, getting into the intention of placing ourselves in that vulnerable, humble, ready, and willing state where God can speak to us in that moment. Jeremy, I liked your language of the false self disintegrates in that space. It's pushed back. Jim, anything else you want to say about all of that?
You hit the nail right on the head, brother. I'll tell you that.